you're going to need prayer. And I would hope that you're banking in and you're putting so much prayer in your savings account that one day when you need to withdraw, you will have God's favor. All right. So on that note, let's go to Bible to Genesis chapter 27. It's been a while since we talked about this. Genesis chapter 7, kind of 27. We're finishing off, and we're going to do kind of a long reading. With I'm still thinking how far we're going to go, but we will go and pretty far. Yeah, let's go to verse. I guess we can go all the way, and I'll just go really fast before we kind of finish at our normal 8:30 time, all right? Let's go Genesis chapter 27. We'll look at verse 18. We'll finish off at verse 40, okay? Genesis chapter 27, verse 18 through 40, and then we'll be done by 8:30, doing our best to do so, all right? The Bible says, and he came unto his father and said, my father, and he said, here am I, who art thou? My son? Question mark. Jacob said unto his father, I am Esau, thy firstborn. I have done according as thou badest me. Arise, I pray thee, sit and eat of my venison, that my soul may bless me, that thy soul may bless thee. Verse 20. And Isaac said unto his son, how is it that thou hast found it so quickly, my son? And he said, because the Lord thy God brought it to me. And Isaac said unto Jacob, come near, I pray thee, that I may feel thee, my son, whether thou be my very son Esau or not. And Jacob went near to Isaac his father, and felt him, and said, the voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau. And he discerned him not, because his hands were hairy, as his brother Esau's hands. So he blessed him. And he said, art thou my very son Esau? And he said, I am. And he said, bring it near to me, and I will eat of my son's venison, that my soul may bless thee. And he brought it near to him, and he did eat. And he brought him wine, and he drank. And his father Isaac said unto him, come near now, and kiss me, my son. And he came near and kissed him. And he smelled the smell of the raiment, and blessed him, and said, see, the smell of my son is the smell of a field which the Lord hath blessed. Therefore God gave thee the dew of heaven, and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over the brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be everyone that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee. And it came to pass, as soon as Isaac had made an end of the blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau's brother came in from his hunting. And he also made savory meat, and brought it unto his father, and said unto his father, let my father rise, and eat of his son's venison, and thy soul may bless thee. And Isaac his father said unto him, who art thou? And he said, I am thy son, thy firstborn Esau. And Isaac trembled very exceedingly, and said, who? Where is he that hath taken venison, and brought it to me? And I have eaten of it all before thou camest, and have blessed him. Yea, and he shall be blessed. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, bless me, even me also, my father. He said, thy brother came with a subtlety, and hath taken away thy blessing. And he said, is not he rightly named Jacob? For he supplanted me these 2 times. He took away the birthright, and behold, now that he taketh away my blessing. He said, hast thou not reserved the blessing for me? And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, behold, I have made thee thy Lord, and all brethren have I given to him for servants, and with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do now unto thee, my son? And Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me even also, my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. And by the sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from thy neck. Let's pray and ask the Lord to bless us and guide us. Let's pray. Father God in heaven, Lord, we love you. Thank you for letting us be here, Lord. Bless the reading of the scriptures. Thank you for each person here today. I know it's a hot day, but Lord, it's good to be in your house. Pray that you strengthen each other. Bless the Spirit here. I pray, Lord, that we will encourage one another with the words that we hear today from the Lord. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. Long passage of scripture. So we've been talking about the father of Israel. We talked about Abraham. We talked about Isaac. Now we're kind of hitting the point where Jacob begins the next stage. What we talked about a couple of weeks ago, I don't even remember when we talked about it, but Jacob is now swindling his dad Isaac. Okay? Isaac is supposed to give the blessing to Esau, the eldest brother. So back in the Bible times, they give blessings out, and it's similar to like the inheritance. The inheritance goes to the eldest, and then so forth and so forth. Now here, we have twin brothers, Jacob and Esau. They're twin brothers, but they're not identical twins. But we notice that the mom, Rebecca, made Jacob a trick. He made Jacob mischievous. What did he do? He said, Jacob, I want you to be the one who gets the blessing. How did he get the blessing? Well, first off, he got some goat skins and put it on his arms. He got some clothes from the brother and put it on his body. And then he put some smells of the field. And then they cooked the goat the way he likes it, the way his father likes it. And he went inside, and now we see what happened. He's meeting with his father. Jacob is meeting his father. Now, a couple of things that I want to point out, then we kind of move on, because there's a lot of things that I want to point out here. But we notice that Isaac is being tricked. Okay? Isaac is being swindled. Isaac is being robbed, basically. If we're looking at the people who should be sympathetic in this passage, it's Isaac and Esau. His mom and Jacob, they were deceitful. They were liars. But Isaac and Esau, they were not. I feel a lot of sympathy towards Esau. But you know what? It's good sometimes in life to see the wrong things so you can learn what's the right things in the future. So you can fix the mistake. You fix the mistake. You guys ever have a mistake and you learn about it and you figured out it and then now you don't do that mistake anymore? It's very important to learn from your mistakes. You guys know my story about the DMV. How it's important to signal when you park. Even on the side, right, Brother Nat? Very important. Why? Because I missed that when I had that when I was a kid. Even though it's been many years I've been driving, I still remember making that mistake. It's important to learn from mistakes. And we're going to look at the mistakes of Isaac, and then we're going to look at the mistakes of Esau. So first off here, notice here, let's read here verse 18. He came to his father and said, "My father," and he said, "Here am I." Now here's the one. "Who art thou, my son?" And Jacob said to his father, "I am Esau, thy firstborn. I have done according to thou badest me. Arise, I pray thee, sit and eat my venison, that thy soul may bless thee." Here's the first thing that that Isaac was tricked. He did not know the voice of his son. Right? He did not know the voice of his son. You know, I was talking to a friend of mine at the bank. The bank is a very easy place where there's a lot of trickery going on. Lots of trickery happens at the bank. Has anyone ever seen a false dollar bill? I've seen one not too long ago. And it really looks identical to the real thing. It's really close. It's not the same, but it's really close. To the untrained eye, you would never notice. But I remember asking my friend at the bank, "So what do you guys do for precautionary to stop you from, giving fake money or accepting fake money or whatever?" And he says, "Well, there's a lot of details about the new dollar bills. There's a lot of things. But the way that we can feel, or the way that we know, is how they feel. How they feel. So the bankers know by touch what's real and what's not. There's a difference between paper, the one that we have here, and then the ones that are in your pocket. Does anyone have $100 they can give me so I can show you guys? I don't know if I can give it back, but I'll show you. No, but you can feel the difference. Now, if you notice here, if you are so aware of the real thing, you'll know when a bad thing comes along. We see here that Jacob is the son of Isaac, but he doesn't know his voice. That goes to show me that Isaac didn't know the real thing. He can't tell his own son's voice between the two of them. Can you tell? You have two boys, and he couldn't tell the difference. Now, were they identical twins? Maybe if you have an identical twin, you can kind of, maybe, no, they weren't identical. You guys ever meet anybody who are twins? Does anybody know twins here? Is anyone related to any twins? Anybody here? Yep, your mom's a twin? Can you tell the difference between your mom and your aunt? Yeah, right. I could assume you would. Are they identical? Are they identical? But you know the difference. Yeah. Why? Because you know your mom. You have the relationship with her. Now, I remember I knew in my school there was a twin. There were two boys. And at first I had a hard time telling them apart. But as the school year went along, oh, it's easy to tell them apart. You know, because you're around them so much. You know, I'm assuming you never mistook your mom for your aunt, even though they look similar. They always confuse me with the Rock. I said, no, we're not twins. We look similar, but we're not the same. And I'm sure he gets that a lot, and it's just, you know. But we're not the same. And here we have Jacob, who is not the same as Esau. They are not related. They are related, but they're not identical. And he doesn't know the voice. You know, Christians, it's easy to be manipulated if you don't know the real thing. Well, that sounds about right. Someone would go door knock to my house. Hi, we'd like to invite you to the Jehovah's Witness, whatever. Or, I don't know, the Watchtower. I said, oh, no thanks, I go to Lighthouse Bible Baptist Church. Oh, I used to be Baptist. Really? What happened? Oh, I read the scriptures and I really changed my mind. I said, what scriptures? I don't know right now. Let me ask someone. Well, then you don't really know the truth. So, honestly. Well, you could come back another time and I could teach you. But make sure, give me some of your booklets. I always take a lot of booklets. All right. The reason why, if they have 10 booklets, can I have some? Don't take one, because if you take as many as you can, that means there's less poison to go out. So I always take as much as I can. I used to go on the bus and they're always sitting there, and they don't give you them. They just kind of sit there and chit chat, right, with each other. But just to show that they don't do that anymore here. You don't see they don't see them anymore. But I always get as many as I can, so at least I know what to do with that poison versus what they know. I'm on YouTube now. Maybe they're not going to go to my house anymore. It's okay. But I always say, if you knew the scriptures, you would know what's false. You would know what's false. And here, Isaac didn't have a good relationship with his son, his twin son, or his twin boys. He couldn't tell them apart. So the first thing that we see, he didn't know the real thing. He couldn't tell which his son was or wasn't. Let's keep going on here. Next, the Bible says here, I am Esau, thy firstborn. Okay. I have done according as thou badest me. Arise, I pray thee, sit and eat, and of my venison, that my soul may bless thee. Here's another thing that is kind of strange. Why is Jacob rushing it? Why is he rushing it? You know, you notice here, when someone is deceiving you, they always want to make you be deceived quickly. They always want to deceive you quickly. A couple of days ago in my house. Hi, I'm from Pacific Seafood, and we're going door to door. Your mom said you wanted to order some. And I said, what? And your mom said you wanted to order some steaks and seafood. I was selling in the back of my truck. I said, she said that. Yeah. And I said, really? Yeah. Come on, take a look at what I have. I said, my mom knows I'm vegetarian. That's what I said to the guy. I said, my mom was a vegetarian. Why would she tell me that? No. I came back and because she wanted it. And the longer I sat there with the guy, the more I knew he was lying. Why? Because we shop at Albertsons only. No. We're very brand conscious. No. But I'm not going to buy seafood from a truck, from a guy who's driving it. I mean, what's the most important thing about seafood? Fresh. It's in the guy's back of his truck. And I said, you know what? We're not ordering it. I'm pretty sure she made a mistake. we're not ordering any seafood from you. Not to say that it's bad or whatever, but, and then you ran off, got all mad. I'm like, well, now I will never buy anything from you, because you should have just said, hey, okay, next time have a nice day, and here's a fry or whatever. Now I just have a bad taste in my mouth, even though I didn't try his food. But you know, the thing is, when someone is trying to deceive you, they're trying to deceive you quickly. Quickly. Notice here, why did Jacob do that? Well, because the longer he's there, the more he can get found out. So when people are trying to deceive you, spiritually speaking, they're going to hit you really quick and really fast and make you do a decision right away. Nothing in the Bible says do anything quickly. It's wait on his time. What does what does Isaiah 40:31 say? But they that wait. You wait. God will give you clarity. What do we ask God? God, please give us what? Clarity. Make me know your word. Does God want to deceive you? No. So if someone's trying to convince you of one thing over the other, take your time. Slow down. If someone here at the church is saying, brother so-and-so's like this, sister so-and-so's like this, you shouldn't like them. Let me think about it first. Take your time. No one's going to get mad at you for taking a little time. In the depositions that I do, they ask these questions, like kind of rapid fire. And I say, if they ask rapid fire questions, sometimes you don't think about your answer. You know, you kind of just go willy-nilly and you kind of just go without responding. And I say, don't do that. Filter your mouth, filter your brain. In a conversation, we have a weird sense of timing. You know, you guys ever have a conversation and someone takes longer to respond? It feels so awkward, right? Like, hey, can I take a picture with you? My name is Brother Amos. And then the girl says, no. I'm just kidding. But if there's a long time of gap, that's a weird one, right? Isn't that a weird conversation? I'm not trying to make fun of Brother Amos, but if there's a long conversation, it's a weird thing. But you know what? If someone is pressing you to make decisions, take your time. Take your time. We notice Eve. Remember when Eve was at the Garden of Eden? And what did the serpent say? Serpent said, if you eat this, you shall surely die. Or if you don't eat this, you won't surely die. She said, wait a minute. Didn't God tell me this? Why don't I go ask God? No. Do it right away. There's nothing that God will do that will force you to do something so quickly that he won't confirm. And we see here, Esau, the way that he was able to trick Isaac, or try to trick him, or some of the ways that trickery happens, is that they'll rush you. They'll rush you. So we see here that the first thing is that he didn't really have he didn't know the real son, and we see next one, we see the rush. Let's continue going on. Verse 20, and Isaac said unto his son, Isaac, this is a really good question, okay? How is it that thou hast found it so quickly, my son? We go backwards in the chapters. We see that Isaac told Esau, can you bring me back my favorite food? Go fetch it and get it for me. And let's continue reading on. And here's what he says here. It says here, verse 20, and Isaac said unto his son, how is it that thou hast found it so quickly, my son? And he said, because the Lord God brought it to me. The Lord God brought it to me. Wow, look at that. That's a tough one. That's a real hard one. Now let me ask you this question. Did God give Isaac or give Jacob the food? No. Did Jacob even hunt for the food? No. Who brought it? The mom brought it. So Jacob is using authority to trick. And he's using responsibilities that doesn't belong to him. Now, my question is for us as Christians, the authority, he doesn't question the authority. He doesn't respond back to the authority. If Isaac had a close walk with God, he would know that Jacob is lying. You know what? The thing about sometimes what people will end up doing when they try to trick you or deceive you, they'll do this. And my dad got a phone call. This is the IRS. this is the IRS. You need to call this number because there's a lien against you. And if you don't pay, you have 30 years or 30 months to. Does anyone get that phone call? Anybody? They always say, you better respond. Better respond before they catch you, right? But what happens? They use the authority. And then my dad said, I better go call someone. I said, you know what? I said, Pop, did they give you an IRS agent ID? And I said, no, they didn't do that. Then it's a scam. Whenever the IRS calls you, or you ever talk to them, or you're on the phone with them, they'll say, hi, my name is Pete, and my agent number is 8675309. You're with the IRS. How can I help you? Right? So what he ends up doing is that he affirms the confirmation. We see here, Isaac does not confirm with God that God is the one who brought it. There is a problem with authority. Now, it's easy for Isaac to believe it because why should he not feel it? But if God was with him the way that he should be and the way that he's communicating, then he'll know. This is the one that's really funny about in Bible college. I heard this before. It didn't happen to me, but I heard this before. There was a guy who was courting a girl. He says, you know what? I really like you. And I've been praying for you. And I know that God brought me to you. Right? And what is the girl going to say? Really? Really? All the while, is this guy praying to God? Do you know Brother Amos? Have you heard that before in your Bible college? All the time. All the time. You're not like that. Brother Amos is not like that. The girls are saying it to Brother Amos. Brother Amos, God, you know what? If God's going to bring you together, He's not going to bring one party only. He's going to bring both parties together. How? Ministries, similar ministries. Let's say one person, I want to be in the ministry. And I don't, but God brought us together. Then God's not bringing you together. Right? The authority needs to confirm, and we see here that Isaac did not confirm with the authority. Let's keep going on. We have so much to learn from Isaac. I do feel bad for him. Let's learn from his mistakes so that when we come and this is another thing that we can do. Did you know what brother so-and-so said about you? Really? Yeah. And then you don't like them. Or why don't you, let me go ask him. Oh, you confirm. It's always good to confirm. If someone's giving you gossip, you confirm. All right, let's keep going. That's not really what we're here for. So let's continue going on. Next one, that's a freebie. That's a free one for you guys. Let's continue going on here. And look at verse 21. And Isaac said unto Jacob, come near, I pray thee, that I may feel thee, my son, whether thou be my very son Esau or not. Notice what he does is to confirm. He says, get over here, so you can get a good look at you. Great. This is something that you should do. Take time to examine whether things are true or not. Take the time. But Jacob is very smart. Let's keep going on. Let's also remember, the enemy is not lazy. Did we ever say the enemy is lazy? No. No. They're very smart. They're not lazy. They're very smart. You guys ever heard of Iron Mountain? The company Iron Mountain? There you go. It's just a touch of no. Iron Mountain is a paper shredding company. If you have sensitive documents, they shred it. Sometimes they have mobile shredding. They go to your office, they shred the paperwork, and they get rid of it. And if you need something actually really secure, there's an actual mountain made out of iron that they put their stuff underneath. It's in Philadelphia. It's in Pennsylvania. But I was talking to the Iron Mountain guy when I used to work in downtown. And I said, so, you're shredding this and whatever. I said, how much does it cost to shred these things? Oh, it costs X amount of dollars. That's a lot. And I said, so what do you guys do with the paper? Actually, this is a real good idea. We get the paper, we bleach it, and we put it together, and we sell the paper. And I said, what? Yeah, we sell paper also. I said, what? Wait a minute. You get paper, you charge people to get paper, and then you clean the paper and you sell it again. He's like, yeah, isn't that a pretty good business? I said, yeah, that is. So you don't have any farms to get trees. Nope, we just use everybody's paper. I was like, that's ingenious. My mind is blown. And you know, as it is that easy? No, it's not easy. But when they sell the paper, it's free paper. That's incredible. You know, sometimes it takes a lot of hard work. But is it lazy? No, it's not lazy. It's people outsmarting. We see here Jacob, he's outsmarting his dad. How? Let's keep going on here. He knows the voice isn't the same. The dad knows the voice isn't the same. Should he fall for the instinct? No. He keeps going. Let's keep going. The Bible says here, and Jacob went near Isaac and his father and felt him and said, the voice is Jacob's, and his hands are the hands of Esau. And he discerned him not, because the hands were hairy, and his brother Esau's hands, so he blessed him. Notice the big problem here. When he saw something was suspicious, he didn't stop what he was doing. He let the suspicious activity continue. He let the suspicious activity continue. He didn't stop when he should have stopped. He didn't have enough red flags in his life. What do you mean red flags? You know, a red flag would have been nice if his wife was there with him. Right? Now, I don't know. I'm not the eldest, so I've never done this, but so I wouldn't know. But if I'm going to give my inheritance to my child, I don't want it to be just me and him. I want witnesses. Right? I'm the youngest, so I've never had that with my dad. Unless, did you have a backstage room, you and Dion, and I don't know. I don't know if that's so. But red flags, put red flags in your life that when you see it, oh, there's something wrong here. He has one red flag, his arm, his hands, and the smell of the clothes. That's it. Nothing else. He knew, wait, the voice is wrong. I should stop. But he kept going. You know what? Another red flag was, don't be alone. Have someone there. Remember, we saw Isaac before. How many servants did Isaac have at this time? Hundreds of servants. Could they have vouched? Could they have said, hey, that's not your son? That could have solved this whole problem. You know, in your life, if you are making big decisions, have counsel. What does the Bible say? In the multitude of counselors, there is what? Safety. There's safety. If you feel like someone's trying to deceive you, ask, hey, I think I'm being deceived. What do you think about this? And you ask people. You know what? These decisions, if someone trying to take over, or someone trying to deceive you, or someone's trying to allure you away from the Lord, ask, God, am I doing the right thing? God, is this the right person in my life? Or ask, hey, brother so-and-so, what do you think about this person? What do you think? Do you think this is a good person? You know what? Having a red flag, having somebody else there with you will help you. You know, one of these things is that, I don't know why, but in Bible college, there's some students who have crazy ideas, right? That they have crazy ideas and they think they're the first ones with all these crazy ideas. And they say, hey, I have this idea, what do you think? Well, I don't think that's right. No, I think I'm right. I'm going to go with it. You know, that's a bad thing. If someone that you respect, someone that you consider, and someone you like in your life is telling you that's not a good idea, you should consider it. You can consider it. When they told me when you become a pastor, you should have someone you should ask counsel from. Because if you don't ask someone for help, sometimes you feel like you're always in the right way, that you're in the right way, that you're in the right way. I remember one time, I thought I knew what I was doing, and I didn't ask for any directions. You guys ever do that before? When you think you're doing something right, and you don't ask for help, that happens to me. That happens to me a lot. Like sometimes I feel like, oh, I know what I'm doing, no problem, I can handle it. But later on, I make the mistake. I'm like, I should have known. I should have asked somebody for help. What am I trying to say? In your life, put up an opportunity for someone to help you. And Isaac did not do that here, and that's a big problem. And then, if he had those things, it would have prevented him from making a big mistake. And what was the big mistake? Blessing the wrong person. So we see Isaac's problem, okay? So I'll just kind of tell you the blessings, and then we'll jump really fast to jump to Esau. We see the blessings that Isaac gives. He gives them a financial blessing. He gives a financial blessing. Not only does he get a financial blessing, he gives a obedience blessing. Obedience blessing that his son is the children of children of children will have to obey the eldest father, especially here in is Jacob. And then the next one we see a spiritual blessing. What's the spiritual blessing? Out of Jacob comes who? Eventually comes David. Eventually comes Joseph. Eventually comes who? Jesus Christ. So that's the blessings that we see, these three blessings, that financial, an obedient blessing, and then he's got that promise that Abraham had. That's why when we talk about the God of Jacob, the God of Isaac, the God of who? Abraham, it comes from that line, not from Esau. Okay? So those are the blessings he's taken. But now let's look here. We'll jump to Esau in the next 8 minutes. Okay? Esau, real quick. Look at verse 34. Okay, at this point, Isaac knows that he made a big mistake. He figured it out. I got duped. I got tricked. Verse 34. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried a great, exceeding bitter cry, and said to his father, "Bless me, even me also, O my father." And he said, "Thy brother came with subtlety, and hath taken away thy blessing." And he said, "Is not rightly named Jacob, for he has supplanted me for these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he hath taken away my blessing." And he said, "Hast thou not reserved the blessing for me?" Here's a couple of things that we can move on, then we'll go really quickly. Number 1, we notice that he wants the blessing. He's asking the wrong person. You should be asking God for a blessing. You should be asking God for a blessing. I would rather be blessed by God than blessed by man. And he is begging his father to bless him for all the land and all those 3 things that I mentioned. But who's the one who could take away the land? God. Who's the one who could take away all the obedience? God. Who's the one who could take away the spiritual stuff? God. He's asking the wrong person for the blessing. Christians, don't be susceptible to asking and receiving man's favor. We need God's favor more than man's favor. Okay? God should look upon you and say, "I like that guy." Not, "Oh, my boss says he likes me." That's a good thing. Why? But who's bigger than your boss? God is. We should look for God's blessing. We recognize and we see he's begging for the blessing. I want the blessing. I really want it. But who did he ask? The wrong person. He's searching for the approval of the wrong person. How many Filipino movies do we see that? Anybody see all that? "I became a successful architect for you." You see that one? Right? That happens in the Filipino movies. Maybe even the Korean ones too. "I did it for you." And then they break. I don't care about you. I'm going to become an artist. Or I don't know. They do that. Those Filipino movies, they do that. You know, it's sad that when you look upon men's approval, you're going to get let down. You know? You're going to be let down. Eventually, I have a friend of mine, he said, "I got my dream job." And 2 years later, he quit it. He said, "I thought that was your dream job." "I hate it." "But that was your dream. What happened?" "It wasn't a dream, it was a nightmare." You know, why? Because eventually it becomes a job. I mean, could you imagine being a brain surgeon all the time and eventually you don't want to do it anymore? Yeah, every job, no one wants to do their job forever. But what ended up happening is that if you're looking for satisfaction from this world, you're never going to get it. You're never going to get it. You're never going to get it. You know, I want all the flavors of this world. You know, eventually the flavors will run out. Eventually your tongue will not be satisfied with it anymore. And it's true. Why? Because you're searching for the wrong blessing. Isaac is the father, but God is the God. And we see here that Esau is looking for the blessing in the wrong place. Let's continue going on. "Is he not rightly named this Jacob, for he supplanted me these 2 times?" Remember what happened the first time? Remember the first time? We have the birthright and the blessing. Okay, 2 different things. The blessing was this one, where he was going to get all the houses and all the land and whatever. But the birthright was saying that he's firstborn. What are we trying to say here? Remember, he didn't care for the birthright in the first place. He didn't care for it in the first place. And now, when he doesn't have the blessing, he's upset. You know, sometimes as Christians, you don't appreciate what you have when you have it. And then when it's gone, you want it back. That happens to my children all the time. All the time. Allie has this toy. She's playing with the toy, playing with the toy. And she puts it down. And then Luke plays with it. Guess who wants the toy? Allie wants it. Allie wants it. Why? Because Luke was playing it, so I want it back. Like, Allie, you were done with it. Let him play with it. If Luke wants to play with the Barbie doll, let him. No, not that. Just kidding. Just kidding. No. But what happened? No. If Luke wants to play with the Swiss Army knife, right? No. You can play with the knife. No. What happens? Because she saw that it was no longer in her possession, she wanted it back. You know, unfortunately, in the life of a Christian, when some things go, that's when we miss it the most. That's when we miss it the most. Where? Well, what goes away? Sometimes respect goes away, but your family. Your family. You guys remember I told you I did the wedding? I officiated the wedding last Sunday. And near the, you know where you sign the names on the book card? What is that? It's like an address book. Hey, I'm here. You sign in, you put your name and your address and whatever. And then on the other side of it, there was a picture of older people. And the pictures look old. Like, you know what an old picture looks like? You know, not really HD and a little bit of orange and black and white. And I was like, who are these people? I was looking at them. Who are these people? And I was just sitting there like, who are these people? I don't know who they are. Like, looking. And then I read on the bottom, it says, we would be here, or we know you would be here if heaven weren't so far away. And then I'm looking, oh, that's the family members who passed away, who couldn't make it to the wedding for whatever reason. Whatever reason they weren't alive, right? And I was like, oh, I'm glad they did that. They put on there that they're not here, but we wish they were. You know, a lot of times in our life, and I've heard this before, you don't miss your family until they're gone.
That's right.
You know what I mean? You don't miss them until you're gone, until they're gone.
Right.
Now, thankfully, I have both my parents, and that's a blessing. But you know, could you imagine when they are gone, or your loved ones are gone? Don't let it be taken for granted. You know, because if you do, they may go away. We see here that he had the birthright his whole entire life, and only now he cares about it. It was gone, and he can't get it back. Esau could never get those back. He could never get those back. All he has of it are memories, and that's a sad thing. You know, in life, if you have a relationship, keep it close to you. Make it a blessing. Make it a good thing that you have a relationship with so and so. And the way you keep it is that you keep it precious. Keep your relationships precious to you. Because why? One of these days, they're going to be gone. And you're going to regret, not rejoice. What do you mean regret? Well, I wish I did this. I wish I did this. Instead of saying, I'm so glad that I was able to do this with them. I'm so glad. Some people, I remember I was watching on TV. It was, I think there was some type of, I think it was the firemen. Remember the firemen passed away in Long Beach? Long Beach. And I think they had the family member says, I didn't get to say goodbye. And they were crying. I said, boy, that's what I couldn't imagine. And that was, at the same time I was watching, I said, man, I'm getting choked up too, thinking about that. The sad thing is here, the birthright, he let it go. He didn't fight for it. He just let it go. And when he really needed it the most, that's when he missed it. You know what's a good thing in your life is a relationship with God. A good thing in your life is a relationship with this church. A good thing in your life is a relationship with your family. Keep them precious. Keep them close, because one of these days they won't always be there. And we see here Esau had this birthright, and he didn't care for it until it was already too late. Let's learn from that mistake. He was asking the wrong blessing, and he's asking for it. Now let's keep going on here. Then we can kind of wrap it down. We'll go towards the end. God, Dad, do you have any blessing for me? Any blessing at all? Let's look at verse 29. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven from above. And by the sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. Sad thing here, Isaac and Jacob, they weren't the best of father and son. Isaac and Esau, they were a little bit closer. But the relationship between Jacob and Esau never really got mended the way it should have been. Right? Never did Esau ever submit his will to Jacob. They did have a reunion where Jacob thought Esau was going to kill him, but they hugged and they worked it out to an extent. The reason why I share that with you is this. The father said, you need to be his servant. And as long as you're his servant, you will have the fatness of the lamb, you will have the blessings, and you will have this and this and this and this. Later on, we see towards the end of the scripture, or even before Jesus Christ came, that the children of Esau didn't ever mix with the children of Israel. And eventually, the children of Esau got wiped out. All of them killed. And we see that mixture there. Now, how can we learn from that? You know what? In life, you're not going to get the job that you want. Am I right? Sometimes you get the job you want. So you know what you do? You do a bad job at it. Am I right? You do a bad job at it. I'll close my Bible because it's page 33. My daughter again. My lovely daughter. I have a lot of stories about her. And she's so sweet. Very sweet.
Very much so.
And where was I? I went out to eat somewhere without them. And you know what? The restaurant, sometimes they have candy. Right? They have candy. And I took candy. That's it. I took 2 red lollipops. I don't know where I was. That's going to kill me. No, not Lucille's. Because Lucille's is the Tootsie Roll Pop. This one wasn't Tootsie Roll. Oh well. It's going to bother me. No, they don't. It wasn't Toro wrapped in candy. But it was a candy nonetheless. Right? You know those lollipops I took 2? Maybe ice cream barbecue. That sounds. No, but I was still vegetarian at the time, so it wasn't big problem. Anyway, whatever. It was a restaurant. I took 2 lollipops, and I said, okay, one is for Luke, one is for Allie. As long as you behave, I'll give it to you tomorrow. Okay? What is the key there? As long as you behave. Right? So, and Luke doesn't care about candy. He's not a candy guy. He doesn't really care. He prefers steak and cheesecake. He loves cake. And candy, no big deal. But if you got cake, that's why he loved. My kids love weddings. You saw the videos. They love weddings. Why? There's loud music. There's a lot of fun, but also there's a giant cake. That's why my kids love the wedding. But anyways, so I said, Luke, this is for you. This is for Allie, as long as you behave. Okay? So tomorrow, if I find that you behave, I'll give it to you. Okay. Later on, that same day, I see Allie eating the lollipop. I said, Allie, where did you get that? Oh, in the room. I said, that was for you to behave. Yeah, I behaved. No, I have to make sure that you behave. You didn't behave by taking that. I said, Allie, give it to me, I'll throw it away. And then you could see her eyes well up. So why? Because you didn't behave. So I threw it in the trash. And she's very sad. Very sad. If you ever see her cry like that, it's hard to be a strong parent and say no when her eyes are welling up and she puts her hands like close to her. I don't know why she does that. Maybe seem like she's small. I don't know why she does that. Maybe, I don't know. Whatever the reason, she didn't listen. Okay. Whatever the reason, she didn't listen. I go back to what I'm trying to say. If she listened, she would have got the candy the next day. A little bit of patience, she get the candy. Esau never listened to his dad. And his children got wiped out. Completely wiped off the face of the earth. I believe it was the Persians completely destroyed them. Killed every one of them. Destroyed their cities. Destroyed every one of them. Why? Because they never listened. They never obeyed. I say to you this. If you've got a job that you don't like, be a good worker there. Be a good worker there.
Right.
If you aren't a good worker, don't expect you to go very far on that job. You know what I mean? Don't expect to be very far on that job. I feel underpaid. Everybody's underpaid. So don't worry about that. But God puts you in a place, you stay faithful.
Right.
I knew a girl. Pray for me. I'm looking for a job. Okay, we prayed for you. She got the job. 6 months later, not even 6 months. Man, like 3 months later, pray for me. I want a new job. I'm having a problem with my manager. Okay. 3 months down the road, pray for me. I need another job. It's like, okay, I'm going to stop praying for you. I'm not going to pray for you in your job. I'm going to pray for you to be a better employee. You know? It's not your manager who's always manager. It's your fault because you're a bad employee that you're always... You know, what I'm trying to say is that if God puts you in a place of submission, submit. And He'll bless you.
Yeah.
Even if you don't like it, He'll bless you.
Yeah.
Even if you feel underpaid, He'll still bless you.
Yeah.
What do we see with Esau? Wiped from the face of the earth.
Yeah.
Completely dead. Nothing left behind. Why? He never obeyed. You know, as a Christian, I don't know what God could have done if Esau obeyed. But boy, wouldn't it have been better if we had more than one nation that God blessed? Look what happened with America. God blessed America. I say that in the past because I don't know how much now. But when America was blessed and Israel was blessed, those countries thrived. What about now? Are we blessed by God? And now imagine it's Israel and Esau's country is called Edom. If Edom was blessed by God. Wow. All he had to do was to obey. Even if you don't like it, you obey. And that's the key. Because what God does is He is the one who's going to bless. He is the one who's in control. And what do we see with Esau? I don't like it. I'm going to teach my kids to like it. And they got wiped out. Why? Because they were told to do something and they didn't. They were told to obey, but they didn't. And when you disobey, regardless if you don't like it or not, how can you be blessed if you're being disobedient? Am I right? God doesn't bless disobedience. No matter what. We see that in the Bible so many times. What do we see with, we'll just use this one. Remember Saul. Saul was supposed to kill all the Amalekites. Did he kill them all? No. He saved all the boys and the girls and the women and all the cattle. And he said, I'm going to sacrifice them for you, God. God says, you disobeyed me. You're going to be in trouble. You're in trouble. I don't care about sacrifice. I care about obedience. God cares about obedience. And if we're being disobedient, how are we going to be blessed? And I say that with love to encourage you. Even if you don't like the job, even if you don't like the rules, even if you don't like it, what? 10% of my income? That's what it says.
Yes, sir.
Better obey it.
Yep.
What? I have to submit to my husband? Oh, it's quiet. What? I have to love my wife? You don't like it? Write your own Bible. No. But you still do it. And I know that God blesses. I'd rather be blessed by God than blessed by man. And we see Esau, what was he looking for? Man's blessings. Did he get it? No. Did he crave it? Oh, you betcha. He really craved it. But did he ever receive it? No. Why? His blessing should have been towards God. Could God have blessed him better than his own dad? Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll end on this. I said ending so many times. We went soul winning, and Luke wanted to go. Let's go soul winning. Okay, we went soul winning, and then afterwards we ate at his favorite restaurant, Golden Corral. My favorite too. One of my top 5 restaurants. I love Golden Corral. And we went Golden Corral, and Luke said, "Is this because we went soul winning?" I said, "Yes, because we went soul winning." Now I was thinking just go to Taco Bell afterward, but for some reason we ended up going to Golden Corral. And Luke said, "Oh, we're blessed today. We're blessed." My thought, just Taco Bell, but somehow we ended up in Golden Corral. What am I trying to say? God blesses you better than you can bless yourself. God blesses you better than your job. God blesses you better than your boss. God blesses better, but who should you be faithful to? Your boss? Yeah, no way, but you be faithful to God more, and He'll take care of you. 10%, you do it. Coming to church, you do it. Why? Because I want God's blessing, which is better than fake blessings, or blessings that don't last. And we see that Esau got blessings that didn't last. And unfortunately for him, he made a mistake. But the blessing for us, we can learn from his mistakes, we can learn from Isaac's mistakes, and we can learn and apply it to this very. Let's pray. Father, God, never want to statement for your word. Help us, Lord, to appreciate, Lord, that these guys made mistakes. And let's let them make mistakes and let us learn from them. Help us, Lord, to put red flags in our mind. Help us to protect ourselves from false accusations and from false doctrines, and to protect ourselves, Lord, from falling victim to wanting to be blessed by a person rather than you. So, Lord, I pray you bless the invitation time, and you want to pray. Amen. With every eye bowed, every eye closed, let's close our eyes and kind of take time to talk to God. You know, and maybe this isn't the strongest preaching message, but if God spoke to you and kind of encourage you that they made mistakes, but you don't have to. You don't have to make mistakes. You can be the right path. You can do the right way. And if you're doing the right thing, praise the Lord. Keep up the good work. Why is that? Because your blessing is coming. The Bible says, great is your what? Reward. So let's all stand to our feet. The piano is going to softly play. If the Lord spoke to you today, any way, shape, or form, let's go to the altar and say, thank you, God, for the blessings. Or God, help me make sure I'm on the right path. God, help me to make sure that I respect my elders and respect the people before they're too late, or to love on them before it's too late. Help me not to regret, but rather rejoice for what I have. Help me to respond whether you want to respond. The altar is open. If God spoke to you and you learned anything today about Isaac's mistakes and Esau's mistakes, come to the altar, talk to the Lord, and God will help you. Let's have a word of prayer, and we'll also pray for the offering as the ushers come up. Let's have a word of prayer as the ushers also come up. Let's pray. Father God in heaven, Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for letting us be in your house. Thank you for strengthening us and guide us, Lord. Help us, Lord, Lord, if there's temptation, that we protect ourselves and have the right counsel in our life, Lord. And also help us, Lord, to look for you as the rewarder and the blesser more so than my work. You're the one who provides, you're the one who blesses, and help me be faithful and obedient to you versus being faithful and obedient to the world or to a boss or a person. We love you, Lord, and I pray that you help us and guide us. And Lord, I pray that you have this offering, that you bless the gift and the giver, to bless our church, Lord, as we do this, Lord. Lord, we do the tithes and offerings, Lord, to further your worship. Lord, the lights and the electricity and the rent and the missionaries, Lord, and all these things, Lord, we recognize your hand. So I pray that you bless us and bless the offering. In your name we pray. Amen. You may be seated. and offering, or blessings and prayer requests, and then we'll be dismissed. Just want to tell you thank you for those who prayed for me, and it was a blessing to be able to be a part of the wedding, and I had a lot